Welcome to Grandma's Pillbox.
Episode 43.
Episode 43. Grandma's Pillbox, for those who are new listeners, we're a podcast where we talk about books, we talk about healthy habits, we talk about other podcasts, we talk about current news, we talk about other things that Thomas will continue with right now.
We talk about
saunas.
We talk about disc golf, Sasquatches, lore,
history. Really anything that interests us that we think and hope interests you as well. We're on the Duncan train. We're from Boston. You know that's where Duncan originated?
No.
From Boston.
All right. But today you said we talk about history?
We do tend to dabble in history a little bit here, and that's a little segue into what we're talking about today, which is
Napoleon
Bonaparte. Napoleano de Bonaparte.
Napoleano de Bonaparte. That's his original Italian name.
Yep, and he had to change it.
Yeah, so you wouldn't get discriminated against.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Italian discrimination.
Luigi. So, dude, you brought up this idea to do this topic is not just out of the blue, really. It's like kind of a topical one because there's some big things going on right now.
Yeah, you got the Napoleon movie starring Joaquin Phoenix coming out, and then on the internet, it might have died by the point that this uploads. We hope not, so we can hit the algo, but the Napoleon meme, there's nothing we can do now, has been spreading. I think it spread like a month ago on TikTok, and then it's finally starting to hit like Instagram and YouTube Shorts.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a funny TikTok. It was like the meme is born on TikTok, lives for a week, and then Instagram Shorts gets it, and then YouTube Shorts. It was so stupid because they were just making fun of all the other platforms, basically.
Yeah. Listen, I re-downloaded TikTok recently, and I am still seeing a healthy amount of these memes. So,
but is that because you just haven't seen them yet, or
that might also be because I've been looking them up in the algorithms, feeding them to me a bit. But
like for me, I used to get Red Dead Redemption memes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just stopped playing the game, and they disappeared. I look up one thing on Google just to see a character's name, and then I open it up, and the first thing's a Red Dead meme.
First thing, yeah, that's how they get you, dude. Marketing. That's what I'm learning about right now is in the world of digital marketing.
And this is, I guess, not spoilers, but at the end of Napoleon's reign, he got sent or exiled to St. Helena, a very remote island in the Atlantic Ocean where he spent the rest of his days planting flowers, writing his memoir, and then dying of stomach cancer.
Stomach cancer, or allegedly arsenic poisoning.
Who knows?
But
I'm pretty sure it was stomach cancer, but he died at the age of 50, and I think the premise of the meme is just if you look up Know Your Meme or meme history, it's some dude did a rage comic thing that used that meme format.
Yeah.
But it's he's stuck on an island, he can't do anything, so he's just there's nothing we can do now.
And this was from his time in St. Helena?
I believe so, but I think there might not even be a record where he's even said that. Someone just
yeah, like many of the other art that was done at the time, it was just propaganda to try and prop up people.
But before this meme, I want to bring up Blue Smurf Cat. The internet consciousness is going from Blue Smurf Cat to Napoleon meme.
Mm-hmm. And really recently, those stills of Kevin James when he was younger.
That's becoming a thing.
That's becoming a meme right now.
Where he's standing there with a smirk on his face.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
One of him popping out of a sewer. Those are popping up a little bit, but
King of the Queens, is that his show, or what?
Here Comes the Boom.
Here Comes the Boom?
Here Comes the Boom. He was an MMA fighter, in like a 2010s comedy.
You're joking.
I'm not.
No, but his like iconic TV show.
Oh,
King of Queens, or
I
like
have no clue. I know he was Paul Blart Mall Cop.
there's that.
That's got to be his most iconic role.
Come on, King of Queens is an American television sitcom. Starring Kevin James. Yeah, the King of Queens. I remember just seeing on TV him like doing his thing, and
that's probably what those are from then, because those look like they're all in like New York.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that.
Okay. But isn't it interesting to get back onto like Napoleon, how recently we've been seeing a lot of like memes getting really popular based around like movies that are coming out?
Yeah, I thought this meme came out because of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was because of something else, but like I think the movie just sparked like the increase, algo boost or whatever.
Yeah. We saw it with Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Yep.
We saw it with Avengers.
Infinity
like Thanos stuff.
Yep. Thanos really memes
off.
I
put down Asteroid City. If you
I didn't get to watch that movie.
I didn't watch it either, but I remember seeing like a bunch of different clips. Yeah. It was like people, maybe it was the sound. It was like a viral sound that everybody was using, and it was from one of these movies.
See, I never got to watch the movie, so I guess I would never have like recognized if the sound came from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, movies just spark up meme, because movie is like part of the culture.
Yeah.
Like Rocky or Terminator or just any iconic movie, you name it, it's part of like the culture.
Yeah. And would you say that memes are like in terms of like their interaction with culture, I feel like memes are like the way that most people like have an opportunity of expressing themselves in relation to the culture?
I mean, that's just like how the memes work, like when you'd like get the weekly newspaper and there'd be some comic on there talking about like the current news, or like there'd be a movie comic, because my movie teacher back in high school, he'd every week just give us like a newspaper cutout of like a movie cartoon, like from a newspaper.
Yeah.
Most of the time I didn't get it, but like
all boomer stuff.
It was boomer stuff, but
Janet, the milk costs 4 cents this week.
they were pretty boomer humor, but like it still translates to internet culture where you can make infinite comics or infinite memes about whatever movie is out. Like Barbie Oppenheimer is just like a hilarious, like what do you call it? Not a clash, but like just like the girl movie, then with the nuclear Oppenheimer like vibe.
Yeah. It was a big mix of like of themes, like vibes, I guess.
It just sets up perfectly for memes.
It does. It does that, the contrast. It's like an oxymoron.
But let's move on to the movie.
Yeah,
it's coming out. It's coming out.
We're losing retention. Let's keep going.
Don't click away. Please.
Don't click away, please.
But this movie comes out around Thanksgiving, directed by Ridley Scott. Some other movies he made was the original Blade Runner, so not the one with Ryan Gosling, the one with Henry Ford, or no,
Harrison Ford.
It's not that old.
Henry Ford. I revolutionized the industrial chain.
Blade Runner, Gladiator, The Martian, Alien.
Wow,
he made American Gangster, some Black Hawk Down. I think I just haven't seen those movies, so I didn't write it down. But The Martian, I absolutely fucking loved.
Loved it.
It was an amazing like sci-fi movie about Matt Damon getting stuck on Mars, and then like Earth having to send out like a rescue team for him. And
that movie probably has my favorite score out of any movie aside from like maybe the Rocky movies.
Yeah,
like it's got ABBA, it's got the song Waterloo, which is very prevalent to what we're talking about today.
Waterloo.
It's like, oh, man, maybe it's a lot of nostalgia. I operate heavily off of like nostalgia, but yeah, man, such good movies. I mean, he's literally got like a Mount Rushmore of movies that he's made. He's got to be one of like the greatest directors of all time.
That's a topic of debate. We don't have time for that, maybe.
No, we don't.
But his most recent movie, though, the one that I can remember was about. Oh, it was called House of Gucci.
Mm-hmm.
It had Adam Driver, Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I didn't like the movie. I thought it was boring, but I'm inclined to believe that Napoleon is not going to live up to, or is going to surpass House of Gucci.
Yeah,
tremendously, because I already saw he had like a 5-hour cut like ready for this movie.
Oh my god!
But he's got to cut it down. No one's gonna watch a 5-hour movie.
No, but
I honestly just like learning all the history for Napoleon for this episode. Mm-hmm. I'd be completely down to see the 5-hour version.
Yeah, throw it up on the TV, plop down on these couches. Catch me in 5 hours.
Just a bunch of vodka Red Bulls.
Oh man, a bunch of Dunkins with some Baileys in it.
Oh hell yeah!
Sheesh.
Randomly, my favorite drink as of recently has been the Moscow Mule, which is vodka, ginger, and then some lime. Mm-hmm. I love it.
So good.
So good.
So good. It hits like so many different like parts of your taste buds. The lime like works so well with the ginger beer, and at that point, like you're not even realizing that it's vodka.
It just tastes like just like lime ginger. It's so yummy.
Yeah, it is. It's delicious.
But back to the point.
Mm-hmm. Actually, if you get a chance, real quick on that, try a Moscow Mule with like a flavored vodka.
Flavored vodka? Interesting. Like
some some quality distilleries will have like blueberry vodka, raspberry vodka. I had a blueberry vodka Moscow Mule before, and it's probably the best drink I've ever had.
Wow.
It was so good. It was so good.
The Moscow Mule is, I think, a derivative of American Mule, which is instead of vodka, Scotch.
Oh,
I don't know how that would taste, but
yeah, I don't think that would be good. Now, if we're talking like a Mexican Mule with tequila, that might be better because it's like it's a lighter like spirit. Mm-hmm. I don't really know that much about liquors, but
neither do I. I just know I don't like tequila that much.
Yeah.
And then someone gave me a tequila shot and it tasted good, and I was ashamed of myself.
You were surprised a little bit. It depends. They must have given you a good tequila because most of them are just like fireball. Fireball's a whole nother story that we don't have time for.
But the main actor in this Napoleon movie coming up is Joaquin Phoenix, and I think he fits this role perfectly for Napoleon. I don't know why. Just seeing him in the Napoleon outfit, I'm like, this guy's it.
Dude, after learning about like his history and how much of like a just insanely ambitious and driven guy while also having like this soft side, being like a writer who just loved his like woman so much, like, and who like would curl up on her lap and have her pet him. It's like, of course, the guy who played Joker, one of like the most unstable personalities in media, would work for this.
Yeah, he's done Joker. He was also in Gladiator. I haven't seen Gladiator, so I can't speak to his performance in that, but he's in Her. Have you seen Her?
I haven't.
What?
No.
Damn, that's a classic movie. Do you know what it's about though?
Mm-mm.
It's Joaquin Phoenix in like the future, where he falls in love with like let's say an AI like girlfriend. So, but it's like it's on his phone, He can talk to her, and he just goes through this relationship basically. Like he's in his apartment talking to her, having like fake sex with her. Going out to like the woods in the cabin like for like a winter vacation with her like
his phone.
Yeah. Wow. But then like it gets conflicted because there's like a real girl that likes him, but I think he likes
He
the
likes
the phone more.
No.
But he does such a good job of just being like a sad, pathetic dude in
Yeah.
that movie. And then in Joker, he does a great job of being a sad, pathetic villain.
And now he's going to be one of the greatest military minds
Mm-hmm.
of all time.
I know you haven't seen this movie. Beau is Afraid.
Mm-mm.
It's another recent movie that he's done. It's a story about a schizophrenic dude growing up, and the movie is basically depicting just his schizophrenic mania, like that he experiences. Like he won't leave his apartment because he thinks the outside world is hellish, when reality is just normal.
Yeah.
But like his apartment, like everything you can't like take for reality, so you just expect, or not expect, you assume that it's all in his head.
Yeah.
So like there's gunshots outside. He's like downtown, whatever, in the hood, and there's always banging on his walls. There's people yelling at him like through the walls, and like he's just like sitting there like trying to watch TV or whatever. And then there's another part where I think he thinks his mom hates him, so he has like that fear in his head.
Jeez.
But it's just like, it's such a strange movie. I feel like
It sounds.
I was confused watching it. I feel like you'd be like even more confused. Like,
well, now that you've told me a little bit about it, because like the only real like media experience I have with schizophrenia is like Mr. Robot.
oh yeah,
And him being like Elliot, like as a main character with schizophrenia, just throws you for a loop so many times. Is it anything like that?
yeah. You get thrown in a loop maybe like an infinite amount of times.
Oh, okay, that
But
sounds pretty fun though.
The ending is just so strange. I'm not gonna give it away, but you're just sitting there like the credits are rolling through, and you're like, there has to be something else, right? Essentially, it ends with like public humiliation. Now it's a lot more detailed than that, but public humiliation, like schizophrenia, like it's basically like his worst fears coming true, kind of. But he does such a great job in the movie, so I'm so excited to see him in Napoleon.
So am I. I'm. We're gonna have to do use the Pillbox credit card to take out. We're gonna have to take out a loan to go see this movie.
A loan.
Because AMC theaters, like we were talking about this today when we were disc golfing. I mean,
It's like $18.
it's expensive.
$18
but
for a ticket.
The $5 Tuesdays is a nice little offer that they have.
Yeah, I just don't think I didn't get to double check, but I don't think they apply to like newly released movies. Like it has to be like a week or 2 weeks after it's released.
And if you want $5 Tuesday to apply to newly released movies, subscribe to our channel. We're trying to go for 200 subscribers. Thank you so much.
Yes, please subscribe, like the video, and comment your favorite movie.
Yes.
But this upcoming Thanksgiving winter or Thanksgiving Christmas season is a lot of like Oscar worthy movies, because you got Napoleon coming up. You have Killers of a Flower Moon. It's Leonardo DiCaprio, Martin Scorsese movie.
Oh,
about like a white family intruding upon an Indian territory to get oil.
Oh, that sounds really good.
You got Dune Part 2 coming out. I'm especially excited for that movie. I don't know how well it'll do in Oscars, just because like you got Oppenheimer, you got Napoleon, you got the creator.
I'd love to see it.
The creator's not gonna win anything.
It's not gonna win.
Maybe visual effects, if anything. But you got what's his name, Timothy Chalamet and Willy Wonka.
Yes,
That's coming out. There's one more movie I'm forgetting about, but just a ton of hits coming out that's going to be very fun to watch.
it's awesome to see that, year after year, Hollywood and movie creators can just put together bangers.
I don't know. It's been a little bit of a dry spell these past couple of years. There's still obviously going to be good movies that come out, but 2019, when like you look at it, came out with so many bangers because it was like Parasite, Uncut Gems, the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh yeah, Moonlight.
Moonlight came out then.
Yeah,
I think
so.
that was 2016.
Once, because wasn't that? I mean, we talked about this. Wasn't that when there was the
2016
It was
Moonlight.
2016.
We did talk about it, but I forgot about
What was that? What was the other?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Oh, Nope, maybe. No, Nope came out a year after.
We literally have a short on this on our channel.
Do we?
Yeah, I
Do
made
we?
it. I made it. It was like, it was about the drama that went on at the Oscars the one year, or maybe it was the Emmys. It was. They read the wrong thing.
Yeah. But then
it was actually Moonlight.
Yeah, but that wasn't.
I thought that was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in my head.
Oh.
But that was a different movie. Which it doesn't matter. But if you guys want to check out that reel, go back on our channel and look it up.
A quick hit of nostalgia, I guess. I think episode 19 is my very quick initial guess, but we filmed or recorded that here in this LA studio.
Oh, yeah, we did.
when we did a little session and then came down here and talked about time traveling.
No camera.
I still have to make a. It's hard without video footage, but I want to make a reel where it's because I mentioned like, oh, right now I would go back in time to like the Viking ages because I had like PJs on and they'd be like, what is this clothing you're wearing?
Probably be more stretchy and warm than anything that they had that wasn't like animal skin. I mean, because that was only 200 years ago.
Yeah.
200 plus years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. I mean, the warfare tactics that he used, or like I guess the warfare tools that he used, would just be nothing compared to what we have now.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is though, like they study his like tactics.
They do, yeah.
I don't know who studies it.
Yeah.
I'm not a fucking sergeant, but
Jackson.
Jackson, please
Literally.
confirm.
Please confirm, Jackson. Do you guys study Napoleonic land tactics? Because apparently, I mean, from that story, he wasn't too proficient on the sea. He had like 51 battles won, or something like that, but he had none won on the ocean.
Yeah, he recognized that he wasn't a naval guy, so he
Mhm.
stuck to land.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we can. I wanted to go over the Napoleon history just so anyone who's listening and is too lazy to like listen to a documentary or read,
Yeah.
we can like give a GPB historical timeline of Napoleon.
Mm-hmm. Let's get to it.
He was born on August 15th, 1769, on the island called Corsica. In this year that he was born, Corsica was just recently acquired by the French. So, I don't know. I think it was its own independent nation, and then French took over and acquired it. And if you don't know where Corsica is, it's in the sea between France and Italy. So it's just like a little. I thought it was small, but it's actually pretty decently big.
Yeah.
And Napoleon Bonaparte was of Italian descent. Corsican is its own thing. I don't know how closely related it is to being Italian, but he was not French, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah, same here.
You would have thought like a French dude. But the thing is, like, Hitler wasn't German.
No, he was Austrian.
And I wonder how often that happens. A dictator's not of the descent of whatever he's taken over. Always an outsider.
Yeah, it's someone that maybe doesn't have like strong emotional ties to the area, so then they're able to do things that maybe if you had like those feelings towards your home country, you wouldn't be able to do them.
Mm-hmm.
Can't think of any specifics, but like just generally any sort of thing that would cause harm, like normal dictator actions.
Yeah.
Are putting your citizens in danger, and if you're not like a national from there, maybe it's easier.
I don't. Let's not sidebar too far.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
he grew up on Corsica. I don't know specifically what was going on in Europe by the time when he was growing up, but when he was 9 years old, he moved to France to get to like a better school, and
he was able to do that because Napoleon's family had some royal
ties.
Blood. Yeah, they had some like royal blood from the Italian like mainland of Italy.
Yeah, his dad helped with the Corsica resistance.
Yeah,
against the French, and I guess with the nobility ties, he was able to get like a stipend or just whatever, some income. So he was able to go to school at 9 years old. This was 1779, and in 1784, so he was 14 years old now, he completed school, and then he moved on to military school, where he was going to be an artillery officer. His dad died. He lost the daddy's money, and this program was supposed to be 2 years. He finished it in 1 year, and now at 15 years old, he's serving on the French military. He didn't know any French also, and he learned it in like a year,
wow.
At 10 years old.
Jeez.
People made fun of him, like, for having an accent, but, this man, to think 10 or 20 years later after that point, he becomes emperor. Or not emperor, he becomes dictator.
15 years, I think. At 30, he becomes emperor. Or no, at 30, he becomes the...
First consulate.
Yeah, first consulate, yeah.
But,
I haven't gotten that far yet.
Don't worry. I've listened to so much Napoleon. And then the French Revolution starts, 1789. The French people were sick and tired of the royal people.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck are you doing? They started beheading people. I think...
Chopping heads, left and right.
I think they were chopping heads so fast or so much that they had to invent the guillotine.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me. They
crazy.
They invented a thing to cut off people's heads so they could do it faster.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Sorry, King Louis the 14th. You're getting chopped. So does that makes me think a lot of like the famous pictures are of like Louis. Oh no, they're of Marie Antoinette getting her head guillotined, who was his wife. So I wonder if Louis didn't have the pleasure of being chopped by the guillotine. Like if he just had some old dude with like a rusty axe just chopping his, because they died a year apart.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
I think
but that's crazy that they invented that. I mean, that's like whoever invented the knot that people use to like hang people. It's just a tool for destruction. That's all it is. There's no good that. I mean, maybe like there's no good from it. Like what?
I'm sure that knot is good for other things too.
Yeah,
like
the
tying a boat down. I don't know.
Chop watermelons with it. That's what I have a sword for, bro. Crazy.
A sword to chop watermelons?
Dude, at least it was somewhat more. It was somewhat better for the person getting their head chopped off.
Is it? Well, I guess like if the axe doesn't go through like all the way, then you're fucking suffering.
Right.
But like,
I'm sure the guillotine probably didn't always go through.
It had to.
It had to have.
It had to have.
That much weight going down like that. What if it's dull? What if it's like dull to the point that it like you could just go like this and it wouldn't draw blood?
Maybe.
Who
but
knows?
I feel like just the point of like the little small line and then the amount of pressure.
Yeah.
It's gotta like go through either way.
Yeah.
But I forgot if it applies to humans. Like the chicken head syndrome. Or not, I don't know if it's called syndrome, but like, when you chop off a chicken's head, it can still move.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that like some account of like a guy getting his head chopped off and he's able to still like look around or something.
His head was. Oh.
Yeah, obviously the body's like not moving, but like.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like,
that would be the freakiest thing ever. That would make me believe in some Lord.
Some Lord.
Like back then, I'd be like, okay, God is real.
How is he still moving? Fuck you! What the fuck are you doing to me?
So the French Revolution is documented heavily across history. And it's also funny to note that there was so many other things going on across Europe at that time. The Ottoman Empire, the Holy Roman Empire was still around. Like Russia was doing their thing. Crazy how much was going on at that time.
I mean, yeah, with everyone else doing their own thing, and then and they're all basically like royal people.
All the nobility are pretty much related.
Yeah, and they see that the French people are killing nobility. Mm-hmm. They're like, we can't have this.
They're like, oh god, my neck's starting to get a little hurt right
so
now.
they all declare war against France at this time during the French Revolution because they're like, we can't stand for this.
Yeah.
So the French people are uprising against the royal people, and at the same time, all the other royal people are going against France. So someone's got to like step up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the specific date, but it's called 13 Vendémiaire. I don't know if that's pronounced right, but in 1795 there was an uprising of people coming to the government, and Bonaparte, relatively unknown, not famous dude, 26 years old, he gets put in charge. I mean, he was kind of known because on his like station or whatever, he did good things, like, you know, he was able to fend off some type of war on the, or not war, but like a battle on the coast.
Mm-hmm. The Battle of Toulon, I believe.
Yeah, Toulon. That was like one of the first things, get him experience, good name for himself. But he gets put in charge of shooting the cavalry against the rioters, and a famous saying, give them a whiff of grape shot, which is, instead of putting a giant cannonball into the thing, you put like a bunch of grape-sized like steel balls in there. Mm-hmm. So when it explodes, it's like a shotgun. So imagine like you got a line of these, you got all these people coming up, it's like, give them a whiff of grape shot, and then boom, and just, I think, like, I'm just stealing a quote from a different podcast I listened to, but it's like Bonaparte believed that you can't let like a rioting crowd like live, because then they think they have so much power. Yeah. But if you like go early and kill a couple of people, then they'll submit and be like the sheep or whatever that they need to be.
Yeah, he killed probably more than a few people doing that. Just tearing people apart with that.
But you know, that got him a good name.
It did.
You know, he defended the government, and now he's part of the Army of Italy in the First Coalition, which is against Austria. And we won't go into details about every single battle. Mm-hmm. You know what I don't get is how they fought these battles back in the day. Like they had their own rules. Like, you know, nowadays it's like you go invade Iraq and you just shoot and whatever happens. Yeah, but now it's like you meet up at dawn or at dusk, whatever. Mm-hmm. Then you
stand across from each other. It's like a gentlemanly thing.
Yeah.
Battle was. But that kind of changed with Napoleon. He kind of...
he introduced like different tactics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And one of those was like, we're not going to wait for our opponent to be ready. We're going to attack them. We're not going to wait for the weather to be nice, which was usually a thing that everybody just agreed on. If it's snowing, if it's raining, we'll wait. We'll wait a few days. No, Napoleon says we're going to attack. Mm-hmm. And that like military savvy was what helped them excel so well in those like Italian campaigns.
Yeah, what I wrote down here is he begins to increase in French political influence. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I remember reading he started up 2 newspapers. So one for his army to like be able to read on the news, and then one for the French people. So this man started up his own news thing. Yeah. And then when he started to conquer like more places in the Italian campaign, he like changed like laws for the people, gave them more like, I don't know, democratic government like stuff.
Yeah.
So like he was not only just fighting these battles, but he was also just being a statesman.
Right. Yeah, and he pretty much revolutionized like the democratic political, I don't know, like actions of a country. Like he improved sewer systems. He gave more, like, everybody rights. He did a bunch of this stuff that we just assume is now, but it pretty much started with Napoleon.
Yeah. He started up a lot of things for like modern
social issues,
Mhm.
or like I don't know if that's the right word, but
Another thing he did, I don't know if it was during the Italian campaign, but he stole a shit ton of art.
yeah, I think it was part of the Italian campaign, and then obviously famously, which we're going to talk about in a second, the Egyptian campaign.
Yeah.
But so I don't know if you know, but what part of like Italy was he conquering?
It was the northern part. So not like the peninsula bottom part, but more closer to the French border.
Yeah. Which, is that still owned by France to this day?
I don't know the specific area. I think where the battles were fought, it's Italy.
Okay.
But Austria is right above Italy, so coincide, whatever. Italy was like a bunch of
different like states, all with like different kingdoms that all like kind of worked with each other. But Napoleon made them change.
So it was a landslide victory basically. He had some close calls, but essentially he won all the battles in his first campaign in Italy. So he comes back to France, and he has a lot of popularity because he's doing all these good things, bringing in money. He stole millions of dollars worth of art and goods and jewelry and brought it back to France. The people in government didn't really like it, but like, what can they say when he's bringing in money?
Right.
And the people like him.
Right. Spoils of war are common in warfare.
Yeah. But he also like, he was kind of like not the first person to say, but he utilized everything he could for resources, because to prepare for this first battle or some other thing, he like had the soldiers like go into nearby towns, get whatever like calories available, go get gunpowder from there, like produce your own ammunition if we don't have enough.
Yeah.
So he started getting into the logistics of war as well. This man, logistics, battle fighting, democracy, a good like writer, like like he wanted to write a book and just stick to being an artist, kind of like Hitler.
Kind of like Hitler.
he wanted to be a painter.
There's honestly points like doing this research that you think, because of all the warfare, like is this guy really, like, I could see how there's like a lot of also like negative feelings about him, but
between 3 to 6 million people died during his time, like his own soldiers, other soldiers, citizens. I think 3 million like soldier deaths about. But what were you saying?
Then you got to compare that to like how many like the quality of life improvements that he made through like a lot of his social reform.
Yeah, like improving roads, like you said, sewage system, bringing in democratic reform.
Yeah.
It's not black and white.
It's not black and white, and it's like not close to like a Hitler or a Stalin or like a Mussolini. I don't think, at least. I'm not also as read up on those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll have to do episodes about them also.
There's plenty of very good material out on the internet if you want to learn about any of these guys. We just like to give our own take and have a fun time doing it.
Of course.
But so he comes back after these Italian campaigns, and I think the people in charge in the government, they're kind of afraid that Napoleon is going to like rise to power. Like he's going to become a dictator because people like him so much. He has that power in him. And then he's like, come on, I want to go to Egypt. Come on, please. Please, can I go to Egypt?
Let me go.
And they're like, okay.
Yeah, sure.
If you're not here, then you can't be like in charge.
Yeah, he's not going to bother us. Send him off. Send him over there.
But his motives behind going to Egypt was science. So like like getting the Rosetta Stone, getting all these other like things of artifact, but then also he fucking hates the Brits, so he wants to go there and befriend Indian princes so he can like stop the trade between like British and their Indian like colonies, whatever.
Yeah.
And so that was his motif to go down there. Yeah. Oh. We're good.
Yep. Just checking real quick. And 3, 2, 1. Indian motif.
The Indian motif. Yeah. Indian.
We're gonna cut that out.
Why? Is that not Indian?
I think it is, but it's a little insensitive.
Insensitive. It's such a popular video on YouTube. Now we're cutting that out.
The poiser.
Poiser.
Poison.
What are you talking about?
Whatever the 6-part Napoleon series podcast was, their telling of like the finding of the Rosetta Stone, with like the pickaxes swinging, and you hear the sound of the pickaxes swinging, and then they hit something hard, and then they pull it out, and it's Rosetta Stone, and he sets up like just this like.
Wait. Before you dive too deep into that, let's get up to that point really quick.
Yeah.
He takes the ships and he goes down to Egypt. You go through the Mediterranean Sea. The way France is positioned, it's going from the left of Italy down like south through the sea, and then going to Alexandria, I think is the place. But he makes a pit stop at Malta, which is just a little like country island right south of Italy. And they're like, no, don't, like, you need to come here like 2 ships at a time. We don't like you guys or whatever. He's like, fuck you. Brings in everybody, takes it over, and I think he only lost 3 men.
Please.
That was in 1798. I don't know how old he is. He is about 29. Yeah, he's 29 years old. Took over Malta, was able to get supplies, and then keeps going and goes to Egypt. And now, or Alexandria. Egypt is a little bit, it's a fucking country.
Mm-hmm.
And then the pyramids and stuff is a little bit more south from Alexandria, but he fights the people. It's, I don't know, what the tribe, just whatever the people there. It used to be an Ottoman, dominated, but then, whatever, it's got these, like, warrior people. And they don't have guns, so he was able to obliterate them
easily,
and continue. Because you've just recently listened to the episode, so you can describe like the pyramid stuff. Because I honestly don't really remember, or like any like artifact stuff.
Yeah. So Alexandria is, like you said, on the Mediterranean Sea, and after they conquer Alexandria, they work their way down the estuary of the Nile towards like where the actual base of the Nile is, which is Cairo. Yeah. Also modern day Cairo, which after like 100 years, maybe in like the 1400s, Alexandria was like the dominant city in Egypt. Now it's Cairo, and that's when the Battle of the Pyramids, I forget what it's called exactly.
I think it's that
happens, and in that one also, Napoleon loses like 10 people. He just completely obliterates them, dominates them. And then during this Egypt campaign, Napoleon, being the guy he is, the lover of art, science, and history, decided to bring a whole like armada of scientists, historians, archaeologists, people that study old ancient writing, herbalists, pretty much everything you can think of. Because he was so aware, and he did a speech to all of his soldiers on like the weight of like where they were at, and like the just how important Egypt was to like the ancient world and the history. And then at that point he lets those guys loose, and these guys go digging, and they go through the tombs, they go through the pyramids, and they uncover these mummies. They uncover these sarcophaguses, and they have
What's a sarcophagus?
I think it's like the
Coffin?
I think it's the coffin that like the mummy's inside.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. But they find all this crazy stuff, and they like diligently write it down. They draw pictures of it, and then they ship it back to France. And if it was too big, they'd cut it in half and then put it in like a manageable size and ship it back.
Yeah, they did not preserve stuff very well. Same with the art. Like, they'd like rip it off, just fucking cut it if it didn't fit.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bunch of big art pieces that are like in pieces, and like you have to like repair it to see like what the full picture would have been.
Yeah. But during this research process, that's when they discovered the Rosetta Stone. Napoleon tasks like a group of guys to try and find the base of like an old Ottoman fortress, because they wanted to build a French fortress on top of it. They're digging, and they find it, and they bring it up, and on the top of it is Egyptian hieroglyphics.
Mm-hmm.
The middle is some other language that I don't think is relevant, and then the bottom is Greek.
Okay.
And then they use the Greek to decipher the hieroglyphics to then be able to tell us like so much about ancient Egypt that we know today. So I mean it's like one of like the coolest like things that Napoleon did, in my opinion.
Wait, that makes sense then. You know the language thing,
Like the app? Or
yeah,
like
Rosetta Stone app.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's supposed to help you learn languages. That makes sense then if they used, Greek to help tell what the hieroglyphics meant.
Yeah.
Damn, they're so clever.
Right?
But I just didn't know anything about this up to now.
It's still, yeah, same here. It still took them like I didn't even realize that the Rosetta Stone was originally found by the French. Now it resides in Britain, but like I felt like listening to that, I was like, whoa. That was like a really big wow moment for me. It was just like the weight behind that discovery. 'Cause you hear about like the ancient wonders of the world. It's like the Colossus of Rhodes, the Lighthouse of Alexandria,
Mm-hmm.
all these things that weren't preserved and that were destroyed. We got one. We got the Rosetta Stone. We got one. There's a few of them out there that we got, and it's awesome to see that.
Yeah, the funny thing with Napoleon is that he read a lot. So when he was in Egypt, he loved to compare himself to, Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar.
Mm-hmm.
And just like uplifting his own ego through that, like those comparisons, like being there in Egypt and like discovering this stuff. And, I'm pretty sure he had like probably a huge vision for like what he wanted to do, and just having those people in his mind. I don't know too much about Alexander the Great. Just studying the Napoleon stuff made me realize just how many big name like people in history there are. Like, Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, this new guy I've never heard before, Charlemagne.
Mm-hmm. Hannibal.
Who's Hannibal?
Hannibal, I think, was an Ottoman ruler.
Okay, yeah, I don't know jack shit about the Ottoman Empire. Which
Same here.
So,
but it's like they rode on elephants through the mountains and
What?
stuff. Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah. Thank you, Civ 5. Because you can play as like the Ottomans. There's so much history out there. It's awesome. But the Egyptian campaign is running along. It's running along fairly smoothly.
And then
They've
Brits.
got about 30,000 men inland.
Yes.
And then
The Brits are like, your butthole is open.
Yeah. No underwear.
No, but Napoleon is like just looking at all this Egyptian shit, and you're like, and then the Brits are like, I guess we could just come from behind, like what? they fly their Royal Navy from the Mediterranean because they're focused inland,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, we can just attack you.
Yeah.
You're not like really protecting yourself. So then the Battle of the Nile happens, and I don't know specifically what like the thing is, but the French didn't end up well.
No,
after
yeah,
that.
it was pretty much complete destruction. And the commander of the Royal Navy at that point was like compared to Napoleon in terms of his naval capabilities for warfare.
Yeah.
The French were positioned in like a cove, all side to side to all like nose to tail to each other with a chain, all with their cannons facing out towards the sea. But this British naval guy was like, okay, there's a little bit of room for us to squeeze through. So in the night, he takes his ships and he rides them through the shallow water and gets up behind them. And then in the morning comes or something like that, the British engage on the front lines.
Yeah.
They start fighting each other, and then all of a sudden these boys come from the back. And then they just destroy them.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was pretty much dominant. Only 2 ships survived.
Damn.
Out of all like the however many ships you need to transport 30,000 troops, only 2 remained.
Yeah, and then Wikipedia has the specific numbers, but Napoleon lost a good amount of men. I guess the bubonic plague was happening during this time, which is nuts.
Which is nuts. So much stuff.
Didn't the bubonic the boob plague kill like 75% of people? Or am I fucking...
You're thinking of COVID.
I have no zinger for that.
No zinger. No, I don't know how many they killed, but it was one of those that decimated large populations, and which for a group of soldiers basically camping out every day and not getting good hygiene, that's really dangerous.
Yeah.
So you got to think that he did not want that spreading throughout his camp, which kind of explains some of the actions that he took.
Describe them.
So Napoleon, I think it's good to preface it with this, and this was also in the podcast. Napoleon had basically like an artist that he hired to follow him around and paint him during like great moments. And there was a moment that he painted where Napoleon was going into these barracks that had a bunch of sick people, and in the painting, Napoleon is like portrayed as almost like this Christ-like figure, putting his hand on the open wounds of these bubonic plague victims, and basically indicating that he's healing them. Turns out that Napoleon might have went and seen them, but then afterwards he poisoned them and killed them all. So then it didn't get out that one, he couldn't heal them with his touch, and so it didn't spread among the camp. That's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, dude, he hired a painter. I guess it makes sense for all the different portraits or whatever that he has when you Google him, and like he had a vision. He's like, I want you to paint me like this, so when people look at these paintings, they like see me as this person. Like, his mind was faceted on so many different things that
he's an expert marketer, dude. Logan Paul is the modern day Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yeah, what a wonderful comparison. Okay, I looked up bubonic plague on ChatGPT. Let's look up relevant time. Okay, it's an infectious disease caused by some bacteria, and it's responsible for major pandemics throughout history. So I guess bubonic plague doesn't refer to the specific single time period. It happened, the third biggest one, 1855 to 1950s. So
that's after his time.
So not relevant. I guess it was just like a random thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, because
like the flu.
Bubonic, that refers to the sores that they caused on you, right? And those were like buboes or something like that.
Oh. See, I'm not well versed, so you're probably right.
AP Euro, baby.
Nice.
Such a fun class to take. Such a fun class. Hello.
Okay, yeah, you're fine.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay,
so
can I take a pee break?
Yes, you can. Let's take a pee break.
Back from the piss break.
We are back. If you guys haven't already, go drop a follow on all of our other social medias. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, obviously YouTube where you're watching this now, Spotify, and anywhere else you can find your podcast. Thank you. Merch coming soon. Man, I might have to go on a run or something after drinking this coffee.
What, are you feeling jittery?
I'm feeling a little jittery. My hands go.
Let's continue with the Napoleon history.
Let's do it.
This man fails in Egypt, but he can't let his boys back at France know that. So he comes back. He's like, yo, we were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We did great. Discovered the Rosetta Stone.
Yeah.
Fucking destroyed Egyptians.
Guys, we did it. And then because of that, the entire French fashion scene and culture starts turning Egyptian.
Yep.
You can't construct a new public space without having a sphinx or an obelisk.
Yeah.
And literally
they built a glass pyramid, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was recently. I think that was in the 1900s. Though, 200 years after this.
Oh, okay.
So kind of fairly recent.
Yeah, the obelisk. Interesting. I didn't know the obelisk was of Egyptian origin. But he comes back. The French aren't doing so well with him being gone. They were kind of losing some wars. They're still fighting against Britain and Austria, and I think maybe someone else during this time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't think they're doing well financially. So the people don't like the government, and Napoleon sees this as his chance to become ruler. So he does a military coup. Coup d'état of 18 Brumaire. Maybe a little detail here. They changed the whole fucking calendar system, and when they took over, they started from year 0 once they started government, made up their own months. And
dude, and we thought the South Koreans were whack last episode, but nope. I mean, let's do a revolution, and then year 1 is when. That's so silly.
It is silly. I don't know why, silly. But whatever. That's just what the event is called. But it happened.
Coup d'état.
Coup d'état.
Yeah, I don't think
that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, I don't think the P is
pronounced.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
A military coup.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said coup d'état. Coup d'état is what it's called. But November 9th, 1799, Napoleon is 30 years old. He becomes first consulate of France, which is basically, in layman's terms, he's a dictator, but it looks like a Republican government. He appointed these 2 other guys. So it's it looks like there's 3 people running the show, but essentially he's running it. Yeah,
one of the guys he just paid off. He gave 300,000 francs and an estate outside of France, and was all right, shove off. And then the other guy was his second in command, pretty much. And there was a little bit of dissent.
Was there?
Yeah, the second in command kind of wanted to be a big part of the future.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't going to happen when you had someone who was as popular and just mythical, honestly. They said that the French people, I don't know how long they were in Egypt, but they just all assumed he was dead. And then when he showed back up, it was almost like a mythical figure was showing themselves. A god had just revived himself and arrived back in France.
Yeah, that's nuts. The internet didn't exist back then,
No, it didn't. So you didn't know? you couldn't call up your boy on the front. Yo, how's Nap? How's
how's Egypt? How's Nap?
How's Nap?
Yo, how my Nap boy doing? How my boy Nap doing?
Yo, how's Nap Bon? At Nap_Bonaparte.
This is an excerpt from Wikipedia that I just took describing the coup. Well, before the coup, troops were conveniently deployed around Paris. The plan was first to persuade the directors, which was the current government.
Mm-hmm. The 5 or 6 top guys.
To persuade the directors to resign. Then, secondly, to get the Council of Ancients and the Council of 500, which is like the houses of legislature, to appoint a pliant commission that would draw up a new constitution to the plotter's specifications. So he had this divisive plan to like get the legislator to make his constitution
and keep it bloodless. So you have all those guys that are currently on the legislature just step down, and let's just keep this safe. Let's keep this bloodless, and let's just move into a new era.
Yeah, whenever I think of coup, I think like of warfare and like because it's like military taking over the government, so it's usually a warfare. The most recent one I can think of is in not Thailand. It is what's the other one? That's right there. Singapore's south. You got Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar. Yeah, Myanmar. There was a government or a military coup in Myanmar like 2 or 3 years ago. Or shit. Yeah, 3 years ago I think. Basically the general didn't like the vote. He was like, I don't like this vote. So then he orders his military and starts fucking taking over the fucking city and towns. And he's like, I want to have a fair election. And you see these crazy videos, just like, the military like shooting at citizens and citizens having to fight back.
Modern day coups. I mean, like, what can you do as a civilian? Especially if you're in a country that like doesn't allow civilians to have like firearms. Like even like in America where there's like 8 guns to every one person, you're still not going to do anything against the military. Jackson's going to pull up with his submarine that just happens to be able to fly also and start dropping bombs on like Kansas or something.
This type of like revolution, I don't know how to say it. You can't imagine it happening in America. When you like read this history, revolutionaries killing people in power or the military, shooting up the city so that they can be in control of the government. Is that a yawn?
How did I just yawn there? I'm jittery off the caffeine.
That's what I love about caffeine.
It's crazy.
You're still tired after you drink it.
Oh man, this is awful. No. But yeah, I mean 1800s right now. So America's been a country for
50
years.
Let's just say like approximately 50.
Yeah.
You have to imagine all of this shit is happening in Europe and America's doing its thing. Like we learned all about that and I fucking don't even remember it.
Right?
Like 1776 comes to mind. What is that? Constitution or is that
Constitution? Yeah.
1776. And that was when he was born. Fucking Napoleon, I think. Or no, he was 69. So 7 years later, Constitution was made. 76, he was just a little youngin'.
Yeah, so he was getting ready to go to school in a year or two.
And then what else? 1789 is another year that comes to mind. Is
that when we tried to fight against the British?
Maybe.
When was the Revolutionary War?
Revolutionary War?
That was like the end of the 1700s, I think.
Yeah, like the British are fighting France and then dealing with the U.S.
Yeah.
Russia's doing its thing on its front. I guess the Ottoman Empire was happening at the same time. Nuts.
The Holy Roman Empire at this point, at the point of the Egyptian campaign, I think is gone. Napoleon had pretty much caused them to disband the Habsburgs.
Damn.
And also right around this time, Napoleon sells Louisiana.
I was gonna get to that.
Yeah.
After the coup, there's a little peace in Europe for a little bit. It's between France and the United Kingdom, 1802. So he's about 33 years old, been in power for 3 years as a dictator, and in 1794, so rewind a little bit, France abolished slavery in all of its colonies. I don't know the motivation behind it. That seems kind of liberal to me, like, or kind of like, oh, they abolished slavery for some reason, whatever.
Yeah.
where back then it was like normalized
Right.
to make money.
For sure.
But then Napoleon was like, shit, we don't have a lot of money. Let's bring back slavery. So he brings back slavery, and he tries to send an army. He sends his brother-in-law to go take over what is now Haiti, because that was one of the French colonies over there.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the slaves took over and made their own republic, which is now Haiti. And it was Haiti back then, but the slaves took over.
Yeah.
And he lost that. He's like, I need some money. So he sells the Louisiana Territory,
Yeah.
which doubled the size of the U.S., which is nuts.
Nuts.
Less than 3 cents an acre.
That's wild to think about.
Yes.
Because how much does an acre go in central Illinois? It's got to be like
Thousands?
4,000 or 5,000 maybe. That's crazy.
Inflation, bro.
Inflation. And also, I'm assuming that maybe Napoleon was like, I need to get this out. Like, maybe like he didn't really get everything he could have gotten from the Americans. Like, we got a nice deal for Louisiana.
Well, I mean, like, if he sold it, does that mean he had like French soldiers on the territory? Like what does it mean to sell a territory? It's
Yeah,
like
right.
why doesn't the U.S. just take it?
Just
Why
take
do
it.
they have to pay for it?
Sure.
So
Sure.
I'm guessing he must have had some military over there.
Mm-hmm.
So you sell that land, get your money, and bring back the soldiers.
Yeah, biggest mistake in U.S. history, man. We had to add Louisiana. Like all the other states, I'm fine with adding, but Louisiana.
What's your gripe with Louisiana?
Man, there's just so much. I can't even get into it right now. We'd make this podcast another hour.
Okay, well we'll move on.
We'll move on.
But it's crazy to think that just going through this one man's journey through life, that so many other things are happening.
Yeah.
And it's only been like 200 years since then.
Mm-hmm.
But
And he was responsible for a ton of it.
Yep.
Or like he's, his action, like the butterfly effect. He's butterfly affected a lot of it.
Like imagine he never went to France.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just never had the money to go.
Yeah.
Or he just like was like fuck school.
Dude, I want to be a baker.
I'm gonna stick to art.
Yeah. I'm going to start a college where I teach people how to grow weed.
And I guess I didn't finish writing my notes, but he basically let's look. After some peace, whatever, he tries. All right, there's tons of assassination attempts on Napoleon during this time as well, and he just has a lot of near misses, basically, and he's thinking in the future, so. He's like, well, if I'm going to get killed, I at least want the Bonapartes to continue ruling France. So he thinks the next logical step, I'm just going to become emperor. I'm just going to become fucking emperor of France.
Emperor, baby.
Because once he becomes noble, then it's like he's part of the royal family, and then his lineage gets to continue ruling France.
Yeah.
Which I think is insane. Like, he was already dictator, but he's just like, I'm going to make myself emperor now.
Might as well, right?
He found, I think he, I wish I could remember the details and had more notes for it, but he basically got himself baptized, or it's called the coronation. I don't know what the word coronation specifically means, but I think it's like when the Catholic Church makes you noble or something like that. And he expand his power in creation of the imperial system based on the Roman model.
Oh man, he loved Caesar.
He loved Caesar.
He loved Caesar. He was basically like his entire life is just like modeled after what like the Romans did. That's pretty wild. Real quick on like the death threats.
Yeah.
He was the first person to have like a bomb, an attempted killing with a bomb used.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
And he also like that killing was what modernized like the word terrorism, how we use it today, in terms of like attempting to like kill a leader or like cause destruction in that sense that we use it today. So pretty cool.
just pointing out so many things that like originate from this time period.
It's, I mean, it's a household, like Napoleon is a household name.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it makes sense, like reading all this crazy stuff about him.
Yeah, Napoleon is a name that I guess that podcast that we are listening to.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've said, where am I going with this? It's like one of those names, as you said, a household name where it just gets passed down generation by generation for some reason. To me, growing up in high school, you took AP Euro,
Yeah.
but like I didn't hear about Napoleon. What like you learn about American history. I guess it makes sense that you wouldn't care about Napoleon. You just like, oh, he sold us Louisiana, the territory, and then the U.S. doubled in size. But I guess if you're interested, you learn it for yourself. I'm kind of trying to question the U.S. education system, but I can't wrap it up in 2 sentences right now.
Mm-hmm.
My mind is just boggled.
It's silly. I mean, they don't do a good job at all about like teaching us about like personal finance and like how to build wealth as like a person. They just say, here's like standardized tests and $100,000 in college debt. Go figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you could do so much with high school, but just with how education system in America works is that you have to have these standardized tests so that the schools can get funding.
Yeah.
And then that just makes learning boring.
Mm-hmm.
So then the students are not as engaged and they don't care. And they don't learn as much as they should, which is like, oh, how does the tax system fucking work in your country that you're going to be living in for your life?
Yeah,
just learn that on your own.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, thank God YouTube is around, because it's just the ultimate like tool to learn anything you want, and it makes it so you don't need to like surround yourself with like super smart. I mean, 100 years ago, you had to know people that knew like really crazy things for you to be able to learn it, but these days you can just go out and find that information yourself.
Yep. I don't have to go to the library.
No.
I can just sit in bed and look it up.
I don't have to be friends with Napoleon, Albert Einstein to like yeah, it's nuts.
But we keep getting sidetracked.
Yeah,
I don't know what I was trying to get at with the thing. I swear I heard that he like hired basically a priest to fucking coronate him, but I can't. That could be misinformation. At his ceremony, about 3 hours long, people got bored and shit. He had 2 separate crowns. One was like a golden laurel wreath, in reference to the Roman Empire, and then he had a replica kit of Charlemagne's crown.
Ooh.
So this man just loves history.
He loves history.
Roman Empire, Charlemagne crown.
History Wojak.
Like the crown comes out, he's like, whoa! And the one thing of note from this coronation is that he thought no one was worthy of putting the crown on him. He thought, you're a simp. You suck. Not even the priest can put it on me. Give me the crown. Puts it on himself.
Oh.
He thinks he's the only worthy
of,
because like you have someone else pass the crown on to you as like a formal sign of lineage. Like, oh, I'm passing it down to you. This guy passes it down to him.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, I'm putting it, which is honestly symbolic because he literally did do that.
Right.
Like he forced himself to be the first consul. He's like, I'm gonna be fucking emperor. So I think he knows he knows history, so he knows how poetic like things can be.
Right.
He has this guy painting him like healing wounds.
Yeah.
He's got the crown putting on himself because he basically rose to power because of his own will.
Every single action like he takes is like almost intentional. Like he pretty much from Egypt on, he did such a good job of like maintaining his like his lore, his like just how he was like a larger than life figure. I don't know exactly what the word is, but he did such a good job at like maintaining that legend that he had created. He was a living legend.
Yep.
They say it in the thing, like rock stars are living legends, and then they die at 27.
Yeah.
But Napoleon was a living legend, and he was 30, and he was just becoming emperor. And he was doing everything right to try and document that. What you got there?
I was just interested because, okay, so when he becomes emperor, he is 33 or 34 years old.
Yeah.
So I was just curious how old Hitler was when he was in power. He was born 1889. So let's do the math. To 1900s, that means he was 11 at like 1900.
Mm-hmm.
So then add 40. He was about 51 years old when he became dictator of Germany, right? Or 40, or yeah, 51.
Yeah.
Because 11 plus 40, 1940. So, like, at age 51, Hitler was whatever, dictator.
Mm-hmm.
Napoleon, emperor, like, self-imposed emperor at 33.
33.
And, like, you know, he's doing all these campaigns at, like, mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
And he was commanding people, like, twice his age.
At like 14.
Yeah.
Started military school at 9. Little bit, age was a little bit different back then. Like the average age of a person wasn't like still. It probably took another 100 years for it to like increase by a lot.
You know, average lifespan is only like very low just because a lot of people would die at birth. You know, they would still, like, if you get past that birth stage, then you live up to 50, whatever.
Yeah.
But then, like, other forms of things like disease or cancer weren't able to be treated. So, like, if you got, I don't know, what is something that affects you late in life? Like let's just say
like a lot of guys when they're older go through like colon cancer.
Yeah, like no one was checking your colon back in the day, so like if you had it, then you probably suffered and died later in life. But then once medical technology comes, then they can check it, treat it, and you could live longer.
Mm-hmm.
But that's besides the point. He's the emperor at age 33, and then the Third Coalition begins. Great Britain declares war on France. Swedes don't like him.
Austrians don't like him.
Austrians don't like him. Russia doesn't like him. And my memory of all these specific campaigns isn't the best. Let me look at the map of wars. There's essentially they don't matter that much. He just wins all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to know all the specific wars and stuff, then go listen to a podcast about it.
Pretty much, Napoleon at one point owned like all the land from Spain to Russia.
Yeah, Lisbon to Lithuania is the thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's the town that I was born in and my parents grew up. It's called Shanche.
Mm-hmm.
And right across the river, the Nemunas River that like goes through Kaunas, there's the Napoleon Hill. And my dad told me this story, and the reason that our little area is called Shanche is because when Napoleon, I guess, like climbed up onto that hill, I guess he was like fighting the Russians or something at the time. I'd like to know the more specific history for it, but basically he said, on top of that hill, I think there's a chance. Like a chance?
Yeah.
I think there's a chance.
I think there's a chance.
So the town was called Shanche.
Chance.
So it's like chance.
That's awesome.
I thought it was a really neat
so
detail.
you guys are tied directly to Napoleon lore.
Maybe all of Europe.
Yeah, maybe everybody. I mean, was Illinois a part of the Louisiana Purchase?
Probably.
Okay.
But Illinois is also like an Indian tribe name. I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But what is it? 1 in 6 people. completely fabricated stat. 1 in 6 people are related to the Mongol or Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan, yeah. It's something crazy like that.
Or like if you have like a blue spot on your ass cheek, then that's like Genghis Khan genes right there. But it only shows up when you're an infant.
Oh.
And then it goes away.
That's gotta be some just crazy. No way.
It is. It's a thing.
What?
I think it's mostly for the Asian population.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, yeah, like when you're a toddler or an infant, you just have this like blue mark on your ass cheek.
What? Wild.
And then that's like related to Genghis Khan.
Man, what a legend. I want to be like him.
That's another fucking crazy historical figure
Another
to think
one.
about.
Yeah. Maybe the craziest.
Yeah.
Maybe not though.
Well, I just don't know what specific time period he ruled.
Right. Like how much this was 200 years ago. You have like a lot of really good in-depth information in history. They were documenting everything. You go back another however many years and you get Genghis Khan. How much of that is going to be real
versus like just like story-esque fabrication?
Yeah. Versus like what do they even really know about it? I don't know.
I mean, that's all you can really only just go off of story accounts.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how much shit was written back then.
Yeah.
He owns lots of land, Napoleon, and is just supreme ruler, basically. Like, owns so much of the world. To me, it's nuts how Eurocentric the history is, because like, oh, you own all of Europe, that means you own the whole world.
Yeah.
But that's just because of like colonies and shit. Like British had colonies all over the world, like India, whatever parts of the U.S. at a time. France, same in Africa, Caribbean islands, South America. So to think that just winning these wars on Europe gives you that much control.
It's a pretty wild stat. I mean, the 1400s, like small countries had like, because really Europe was like the first people that had like ships. So then they were able to then go out with like their advanced armies and stuff and just dominate everybody.
Yeah, spend 2 months to go to a small little island.
Yeah. Oh, we're here. And some of those countries aren't even around anymore. Like Prussia, that's not a thing.
Yeah, no.
Obviously, the land is still there, and it's modern-day Poland.
I have no clue what Prussia even is when I was, like, listening to that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is it, like, half German? Oh, wait. Is it just Poland?
It might be. I think it's around, like, where Poland is.
Because Prussia was a big player. Or not a big player, but just, like, one of the powers fighting against France at the time.
Yeah. It's now a part of modern-day Poland, Germany, Russia, and other nearby nations. The region was located on the southeastern coast of the Baltic Sea between Poland and Lithuania. The people of Prussia spoke a Baltic language called Old Prussian, which is related to modern Latvian and Lithuanian.
Hey, let's go. Let's go. Oh, wait. I'm going to have to dive deeper into the Prussian history when I can.
Who was this? King of Prussia, Friedrich Wilhelm. I remember we learned a lot about Prussia in
AP Euro.
In AP Euro, yeah. The Hanovers. Oh my gosh, yeah. This is all kind of coming back. History's so cool, dude.
What is it about history, if you can pinpoint it, that is like so intriguing, I guess?
Dude, I think it's like the same thing that, for me, it's like the same thing that like nostalgia works off of. It's just like, it's satisfying to the brain to like think about something that like happened in the past or something that was around or something like that. And then you can kind of almost like let your emotions and like your creativity and whatever you want like just run wild.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also just like taking away from like modern day like problems and troubles that you might be dealing with as like a person, and you're almost getting lost in like a fantasy land.
Yeah, I wanted to say, like, I approach it in like I'm gonna sound like a hippie, like a single consciousness type of perspective, whereas, you read the history and you kind of disconnect yourself from it.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, when I like read through history, I'm imagining myself in those feet.
Yeah.
And thinking like you and me, like us, like whatever, like if you want to believe it or not, we are the same thing, right?
Right.
That same thing was back then doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I sound so profound. Same things doing the same thing back over there and the other thing.
Yeah.
But I hope you kind of get what I mean by that.
For sure.
Whereas, like, they're not that different. Maybe they didn't have telephones, they didn't have TikTok, whatever. But they still have a human brain thinking the same human desires.
Yeah.
I want power, I want money, I want sex, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they had the same desires, and you had the farmer that could barely pay attention. Well, I'm no philosopher. I'm not gonna fucking go on, but that's just, I think it's interesting to look at history through the perspective that they're the same as me or you, but just in a different time period. And then it's interesting to see the decisions they made and all the fucking events that led up to this point.
Yeah.
Like Napoleon did all that shit, and then it led up to us making a podcast about it. Like he
And it's also crazy to think that like we're like history is also happening right now as we speak.
When I looked through my brother's history book, I tried to look for Trump. I'm just like, do they have Trump in there?
Do they have
yet?
Trump?
Because like that's 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, like, it was weird. Like every time we'd get to like the end of like a history book and it started getting to like 2011, 2012, like pretty much anything like the Desert Wars, like the Iraq stuff that we did, pretty much anything like that and current, I'm kind of like, I don't care. Take me back to like when they were riding horses and like had armies marching across these plains. Like that stuff just is so cool.
Yeah.
Also being like a fantasy fan and that sort of stuff, you kind of like imagine it like that.
Yeah. Your Civ 6 reliving whatever.
Yeah, maybe it's because I never was able to finish a game. Every time I tried to get to like the modern era, I would just stop.
Wait, is that a single player game? I thought it was only multiplayer.
It's single player.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, you can, I mean, I dump hours into like just a single player game, just like building this like story basically.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Story. Like your own story or like the in-game story?
Your own story.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I do that. I'd like to do that with a lot of games. Like I would play the WWE games and I'd be like the general manager for like Raw and SmackDown. And then I'd like have my own like storylines, almost like what they actually do in real WWE. So I always enjoy like putting my own like story or like connecting to like the game a little bit more that way. We've kind of been going off on some tangents. But that's what Napoleon makes me do, dude. It's been awesome learning about him because he just opens up so much stuff.
Yeah. He wins these wars, and then at the end of the 5th coalition, he beats Russia or Prussia. There's some war where he wins, gets them to do a treaty. Oh, wait. This was one of the most popular things, I think, if I'm not mistaken. It was in the trailer for the Napoleon movie, but basically he knows that at dusk there's a big foggy mist that covers the ground, and he knows it's hard to see during then. So he made it look like his right flank or something was completely weak so that they could be enticed to come and attack him on the right flank. Mm-hmm. And as they come through the white fog to try to attack or something else, he has all his troops on the other side of the fog, like ready. And he knows like once the sun goes up that the fog clears up. So once he sees that, they see that it's like an ambush and fires all the fucking cannons at him. And
yeah.
That's gonna be in the Napoleon movie.
That's in the movie. Is that the one where they were also walking on like a lake?
Yeah, on the ice.
On the ice, yeah.
So you shoot. They shot the cannonballs, and everyone like falls in the water, drowns, dies.
Cold plunge. That
Health benefit.
The recovery. Dude, like, moving in cold water is near impossible. It's crazy. Napoleon, military genius.
Yeah, but he wins that treaty, and then with this treaty, he is pissed at Britain. He's like, yeah, he doesn't like Britain, but the thing is, he can't cross the English Channel to fight them because their navy is just
it's unbeatable.
Unmatched. So he does economic warfare, which is cut Britain off from any European trades. So he gets Russia and other people to agree upon not doing any trade with Britain.
Mm-hmm.
And he decides to do economic warfare with them. But the thing is, British is basically world trade. So when you stop trading with British, you stop getting like clothing, spices, tobacco. So you can't really completely enforce it. And then Spain and Portugal start smuggling British goods. So there's a lot of dissent over there. Napoleon sees it and then starts the Iberian Peninsula War over there. Because he's like, well, if these people are not following the treaty, then I got to come and take over.
Gotta spank them.
And one interesting thing from here is that it is where the term guerrilla warfare originates from.
Oh.
Which doesn't mean guerrillas.
Of course.
It means guerrilla, or whatever the Spanish word is for it. It means small wars. So instead of having these big army things, like face-to-face battles, it would be people fighting like a thing of supplies that they have, or attacking a small troop over here, and then like just all these small little battles to weaken the enemy.
Yeah.
So that's where guerrilla warfare comes from.
Interesting. That's neat. I thought it was a Hitler thing.
I thought it was a Vietnam thing.
That's where my mind went also.
But from the little story thing I heard was that like all the citizens in Spain were also just revolting. Or not revolting, but like fighting back. So it wasn't just soldiers. It was literally everyone living in Spain just fighting against...
Total war, everybody.
Total war, guerrilla warfare. So he didn't really do a great job there.
Mm-hmm.
And then... Middle Eastern alliances. There's so much to go into with all this stuff.
There's a ton.
Let's see. Six Coalition. That's something else.
What are we at for time? Hour 45.
Hour 45?
Hour 45.
Okay.
Keep it rolling.
After the Iberian Peninsula War, I don't think he did great. Because, yeah, he sent, I think, his brother. Oh. Yeah, I wish I took notes for that. But I think that was just the big thing about it, was guerrilla warfare and trade dissent. So it just means not everyone was unified on the treaty.
Yeah.
They didn't like what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then randomly, he decides to go invade Russia. He's like, fuck Russia. Goes and it's called the Russian War of 1812. And he thinks, if I go invade Moscow, then I'll win Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Because Moscow is like the known capital for Russia. He goes there. Huge army, I think. Like 300,000 troops.
The French army?
French.
Okay.
French. The big thing of note is that he's been used to having smaller armies, so he can be like more agile, like quicker and everything. But now he's like dealing with a giant logistical nightmare of 300,000 people marching into Moscow.
God.
And goes into the town, and it's barren. There's nobody there.
What?
the Russians knew they were coming, so they all evacuated, and then basically had prisoners and whatever burn the town, so they couldn't. They set up shop in the Moscow, and then later they saw fires start, so they basically burned down Moscow while they were like in there, so they couldn't use anything to like survive the winter.
Oh, and Russian winters
Tough, as Hitler can attest to that.
Yeah,
as well.
I was about to say, is this like the first?
It can't be the first.
It can't be the first, but it's one of the major ones.
Essentially, it's hard to live in or survive in Moscow, and he gets pushed back and back and back by Moscow troops because then they decide to come fight once they like are in there, and eventually ends with him losing that battle or not able to have a great victory.
Yeah.
Then starts the Sixth Coalition right after that, which is just all the other powers just united on getting rid of Napoleon. They're like, fuck this dude, man. Let's just all unite. Swedes, Prussians, Austrians, Russians, Britain. They're like, come on, let's unite and fucking get rid of this dude. And I don't know what battle it is, but the other side wins and decides to exile
Napoleon to some island.
Yeah. The thing is, though, he was still emperor.
Yeah. And he still had a ton of friends all over like the world that believed in him.
Mm-hmm.
So he was able to get off that island, land in mainland France.
Yep.
And then just basically, hey, what up, Napoleon? All right, I'll help you. Hey, what up, Napoleon? All right, I'll help you.
Yeah, like, he came in with no soldiers. He came in and he just went to a barracks and convinced people to join him.
Mm-hmm.
That he was like, oh, I'm emperor. He's like, okay, I'll join you. So then he used all those trips to march back into France and then regain power. And then what happened?
I haven't read up on any of this stuff to this point, so.
He saw the chance to go back to France, convincing soldiers to join him. He got to Paris, and then other world powers formed Seventh Coalition. Then the big fight at Waterloo happens.
Yeah. Oh, this is the 100 Days, is what it's called.
Is it?
Yeah, so the time from Napoleon, like, leaving his island and regaining his emperorship until the time that he eventually loses at Waterloo is called the 100 Days.
Wow.
And he brings an army to Waterloo, and like at first he's fighting off the British, like he's gonna win the fight, and then the boys show up, the Swedes, the Prussians, the Russians, they all show up, and then boom, like a wave, Napoleon's defeated.
Yeah.
For the final time in his career.
There was a big there's some other general, Wellington. I think he was British, and it was like a clash. It was like Napoleon's the best. Next best guy you think of is Wellington. So it was like a head-to-head clash.
Yeah. And
I think there were chances during the battle where like a soldier could have shot Napoleon and just killed him right there. But for what is it called? Gentleman rules, whatever. It's like you don't shoot him.
Yeah.
You just like have the battle because he was I guess still a respected general. And he ends up losing, goes to Britain, and he thinks, all right, maybe I can live in the U.S. or just have a nice life. No, we're sending you to the most remote island, St. Helena.
Yeah.
Farthest place from any other place on Earth.
Literally 5,000 miles from Paris.
God. And then, as we said in the beginning of the episode, to circle back, spends his days gardening, writing his memoir, and then dying of stomach cancer.
Adieu, Napoleon.
Au revoir. Au revoir, Napoleon.
Okay, so
he wrote his entire memoir, like he recounted all of his history during his time on St. Helena.
6 years. But he's got a brain like an elephant.
Yeah, he had great memory, great work ethic, Sigma.
Incredibly ambitious and driven. Couldn't cut it with the ladies though. Had a real tough time.
We went into as much depth as we could, and there's still like 10 times more stuff to discuss.
Yeah.
The wars, the democratic reform, the brutal stuff he's done, because you know, you talk about all these good stuff, but he did do some bad stuff.
Yeah.
Everything else going on in the world at the same time that he was doing it. French government. I don't know.
An incredible amount of stuff that is just impossible to cover in an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, so I think that would be our time to end.
I think so as well. Thank you everybody for watching. This has been the Grandma's Pillbox Napoleon special episode.
We hope you enjoyed and that you learned something new today, and hopefully you subscribe, like the video, and stick with us next week for episode 44.
Yep, on the way to 50. Let's go. Peace.
Peace.